Good afternoon. This is Rich Nelson with Allendale covering the wrap-up commodity comments. Today is Thursday, January 12th of 2012. Obviously, a large day across the board here for grains. Large USDA reports, very exciting action, and lots of volatility here. So for the past 5 years, the trade has been surprised by USDA's movements on these January reports. And, of course, same thing happened this one. So this is now 6 years in a row of surprises from USDA according to trade expectations here. We will point out here, of course, the fact that the U.S. dollar was down 57 here in the last trade. So even though we did have some outside market potential support here for grains, obviously the focus was on USDA's actions here today. Corn down 40 cents, limit down here for this March contract, and of course that potentially gives us these expanded limits to 60 cents here for tomorrow. Soybeans down 20.5 and wheat down 36. So large moves here today. As far as the corn with it limit down here, according to options and synthetic trading using swaps and other options here, we will point out the futures are implying, or say the options and swaps are implying 610 to 611 here. So in other words, 1 cent lower here for tomorrow's open. In terms of news here, funds obviously were heavy sellers here today, liquidating 18,000 positions. Very large move as far as that goes. For the soybeans, we mentioned, of course, down 20.5 cents here for the March contract. A couple key issues of why we did come back very well off those lows. You can point out maybe some concern about Argentina is still on the board. The fact that they do have a light rain scheduled for, or potentially scheduled for next Tuesday, according to some models. But after that, even if it does come, it looks like for the most part, net drying over the next 10 days. Additionally, we can point out the trade was a little surprised that an unknown buyer, which they assumed to be China, purchased 414,000 tons of soybeans, of U.S. soybeans overnight. So potentially better export sales and possibly a little panic buying here from some outside foreign buyers. Funds were sellers of around 11,000 contracts here today. Over on wheat, obviously with some slightly negative issues here for itself on these USDA reports, mainly being the winter wheat seedings report, where acreage was expanded a little more than the trade was looking for here. That was a bearish issue. Also, wheat is traded as a feed grain now, with its prices are tied to corn. So that was also a main factor for wheat here today. Funds were sellers of around 6,000 contracts overall. Over on livestock, down 7 cents here for the cattle. Main thing we're looking at here as far as the cattle, we still haven't got this whole really economy thing worked yet into the beef prices. So we've mentioned here for the past few weeks that the economy is doing better. U.S. consumers started opening up their wallets and spending on other items. They've been doing this since November here. So good news as far as this economy issue here. But so far, that money has not filtered its way into the beef market here. We are looking right now, in fact, today's midday box beef cutout, down $1.88 for choice and down 85 cents for select. So when this does reach in, it will be something of interest. We will have something to talk about here. But so far, it's not a major issue we can point to for the bulls just yet. One thing we can look at, though, which was helpful for today, with these lower prices, obviously with corn, that did support feeder prices. Feeders hitting a new record high for futures. Also keep in mind, we do watch very closely the feeder auction markets, the cash market itself, and of course this week's Oklahoma City auction. This was even done before today's trade. This is actually all wrapped up here for the week. We will point out new highs, new records for prices there. 7 1/4 pound steers, 152. That's a new record there. And 5 1/4 pound calf steers looks like 181. That is right, $181 for steer calf prices, Oklahoma City. Pretty exciting action as far as this goes. So this also sets us up here for we've got this beginning of this big supply crunch, which is really working its way into the beef market. And keep in mind that will work its way into the feedlot side and therefore into fat cattle prices later on this year. Over on the hogs, up $1.05 here for the Feb contract. It was interesting to see that the hogs kind of shook off that relationship to corn. Typically, when corn prices take a large drop like they have here today, you would expect a similar large drop on the hogs here. We will point out, though, it was a Feb contract which rallied today on that, making that $1.05 move higher. The deferreds, which probably paying attention to the corn, did not have that similar rally. So that's one thing we're looking at here. As far as short term for the hogs, we do have some supply issues we got to work through here. The fact is we've got large slaughters still working through, and the market's a little concerned that may continue. For ourselves, we have differing opinions on the supply here for the next few weeks, but for right now, at least, we do have these excess numbers still hitting overall. But obviously a big trade overall, big moves as far as markets, and obviously some very large implications here for futures prices, for farm revenue, and other factors as well. If you want to call and discuss today's report, or discuss what to do with your old crop grain or potential unpriced new crop grain, please feel free to give us a call here at Allendale. That number is 1-800-262-7538. Also, we will point out, though we do have looks like the hotels are getting filled up here. They're not full just yet, but they are getting filled. We do have some looks like a seat or two available for a conference still. Feel free to give us a call here at Allendale. Get that seat for yourself lined up. We will cover more issues in depth regarding what happened with today's report, and more importantly, our opinion of what's going on with the future for 2012 at that conference. Feel free to give us a call here and get your own ticket lined up. 1-800-262-7538. This is Rich Nelson. Have a good trading day and a good trading week.